The main problem with the argument between pro-life and pro-choice is that they're both right and they're both good. Because they are both true concepts. The argument for pro-life is of course good because it's life. Like, that's a no-brainer. But the argument for choice is good as well because we also know that freedom of choice is good. And both of these things come from God, life and freedom of choice, so they're both His qualities and His attributes. So what do you do when the two come in conflict with each other? Or when the two don't agree on some issue? Any issue, not just abortion. What you do is you defer to a higher law. Just like in a court case here on earth, if one court can't find a solution, then it goes to a higher court. Same thing, when you have these lower laws, which are laws of God, and they don't agree and they can't solve the solution, they can't solve the problem and find a solution, what do? They defer to a higher law. And what is that law? That law is the law of love, because the law of love is the only law that works for everybody all the time and finds a solution for every situation, for every human being on the planet for all time and eternity. Why? Because that law, at its essence, does what is best, considering all the factors involved. It does what is best for each and every person involved perfectly. And that may be a new concept to some, because we're not made aware of it. But it's nevertheless true. It's the law that governs all other lower laws in existence, and it is actually what people are talking about when they talk about the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law. Well, the spirit of the law is always love, ultimately. Because love basically does what is best and healthy and good for everyone involved all the time, in consideration of each and every factor in every situation. This is the law of love. This is the law that we need to have governing our land. This is the law that we need to have regulating and governing abortion. So everybody wants to piddle around with Roe versus Wade and all this other stuff. It's like, well, okay, you're never going to find a solution. Have you yet? Of course not. Because you can't. You can't just say, well, one's right and the other one's wrong. Because that never works. So we have to defer to a higher law, a higher way of thinking, a higher way of acting and living our lives. And that is always living by the law of love. Which, of course, you need Jesus and you need God to teach us how and to implement it, because they're the only ones that do it perfectly. But we can learn from them and from others and from life. Speaking of life, isn't this a beautiful summer scene? Let's get back to the flower. Have a great day out there.